Hello and welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm Pamela Barahona. Tonight we are going to cover a condition that affects 1 out of 88 children. The issue of autism is something that we don't get to discuss very often. But what is the situation in the Bronx? How do we identify someone afflicted with autism? George Rivera, an ABA therapist who has worked with autistic children for over 8 years for the Achieving Beyond company, is here with us tonight to help us understand more about autism. George, welcome to the show.
Pamela, thank you for having me.
You're an ABA therapist. What does ABA stand for?
ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a science to understand and change human behavior, specifically functional day-to-day behavior with children on the autism spectrum disorder.
And you work in Westchester, but you mainly work in the Bronx. Why did you choose the Bronx?
I chose the Bronx because I was born and raised in the Bronx. I was very fortunate to teach at the middle school level in the Bronx. And teach at a school that I actually attended, which is a junior high school, 149. And I was afforded the luxury, in my opinion, to come back and just pay it forward in my community in coming back and providing services for children that need it.
And what group ages you work with?
Currently, I work with the group ages birth to 3 years old.
How are you related to a social worker?
Well, a social worker would be very important in the process of evaluating a child and gathering social history, which would tell myself and anybody on any service provider, like a speech therapist, occupational therapist, some of the facts of the child's history that would go into providing more accurate and detailed services for that child. Because applied behavior analysis only works if it's tailored and specific to the child's needs.
So is there any situation that has touched you emotionally the most?
I'll tell you, Pamela, there's been so many situations that I can reflect on, but there's one in particular that I can think back of, a child who I worked with for who I'm currently still working with. And initially he couldn't say a word, and mom described her situation as being very, very bleak because everyone was telling her that her child would never speak. So her best plan of action would be to teach him sign language. And after 2 years of hard work and implementing interventions and collecting data and using that data to provide our best next approach, he's actually speaking today. And you know, he's 4.5 years old, and it's one of my proudest moments.
That's awesome. What made you go from being a teacher to a therapist?
Teaching in a classroom with middle school students, you know, it's 1 versus 30, and you know, you're in charge of more of the overarching goals and the curriculum for a middle school student. Working one-to-one was something that I always wanted to do. It was one of my goals as an undergrad student, and providing this ABA service allowed me to work on the one-to-one level with children that really need the fundamentals, the building blocks, so that they may eventually be mainstreamed into the middle school level, which I taught. So in my head, it was like working backwards. You know, I started at the middle school level, and then I worked my way to the babies, you could say.
You also work with the parents. How beneficial is it to work with the parents and the children at the same time?
I'll tell you, it really is everything. Consulting parents and parent training is a major component of the philosophies and the practices of ABA therapists. It allows for the extension of whatever it is that we implement to generalize itself. Generalization is very critical in developing any child's particular deficit. For instance, if a child is having trouble communicating that they're hurt, having the parent really trained effectively will allow, once I leave that home, it will allow the parents and grandparents or whomever is the caregiver for that child to be able to identify and implement the same strategies that will generalize that skill across settings and across people in that child's life. And that will really move along the process.
And this is a question that a lot of people don't know the answer to, but it's very common. Is autism curable?
Autism, it has not been scientifically proven, first of all, what causes autism. So how could you cure something that you don't even know what the origin is? So the short answer is no. However, there is hope, because there are many behavioral therapists like myself who are out there implementing and providing quality instruction and very specifically tailored instruction to meet the child's day-to-day needs. So there's hope in the sense that these children will eventually be able to support themselves independently and be a more active citizen in their lives.
Now, the treatments, how many days a week do you dedicate to a child, and for how long?
Well, that's called a mandate, and that varies from child to child. In some cases, I will spend 2 hours a day with the child, so that's 10 a week. I have other cases where I'm with the child 1 hour a week. I have some cases that I'm with the child twice a week. So depending on what the evaluators deem is the most appropriate structure and the most appropriate hours and services that the child needs is what I usually am able to provide.
And can ABA be implemented in adults?
That's a great question. ABA is not tailored or specific to children with special needs. It can be used on anyone. There are Fortune 500 companies that hire behavioral therapists to come in and increase behavior, decrease behaviors. So this is universal. And it's important that people understand that this is a very, very dynamic practice. You can really, if a child is exhibiting inappropriate behaviors, if a child is not socially adapting to his or her environment, if a child is not adapting in the home with toileting practices, these are all things that lend itself to the practices of ABA therapy.
How aware you believe the Bronx community is in the subject of autism?
I'm very excited that today the information sharing about how to identify some of the characteristics of autism have increased tremendously. And I think this is due to word of mouth, the media, a lot of the organizations that are out there that are providing information, very useful information, so that parents and families can really, at a much earlier age than even 10 years ago, identify these characteristics that present for children that should be evaluated.
Now, you work for Achieve Beyond.
Right.
Why did you choose this company?
I chose Achieve Beyond because they provide me the access to the areas that I really want to work. That's the first reason. They're located in the city, but they also have an office in Westchester, and because I live in Westchester, and it also allows me to work in the Bronx. In addition, Achieve Beyond has provided countless opportunities to take workshops that are very cutting edge and continuously helping me as a therapist evolve and help the families. And I haven't been able to participate or find another agency that allows me to grow as a therapist, that trains me at the level that they do, and that provides me continuous access to the areas that I really want to work in and impact the children that I want to service.
Do you have any advice on how to spot autism and what action should the parents take?
These are called red flags. So if I'm a parent, and sometimes as parents, if we have more than one child, we compare and we go, oh, my son is not moving along as far as my daughter did, and this is sometimes cause for concern. However, there are some red flags that are particular to seek immediate, evaluation from a licensed professional, and some of those include lack of eye contact, communication and verbal skills being very low, self-stimulatory behaviors, motor functioning being really low, adaptive skills being really low, which include toileting and feeding themselves. You know, you see that they're getting older and they're beyond 18 months or 2 years of age or 3 years of age, and you find that they're not speaking at all. So these are some of the telltale signs. They're not all of the characteristics, but these are just some of the things that will tell you, hey, I need to get some help and find out some more information about my child.
And how do you get a hold of the company?
The company can be reached, their website is www.achievebeyondusa.com. And you can also feel free to contact me at any time in reference to more information. And my email address is jayworld76@gmail.com. And I will gladly help and point someone in the right direction to get help.
Thank you for being in the show with us tonight.
Thank you.
See you on another edition of the Bronx Journal.